The title of this training is Win Beforehand: How to Identify and Target a Winning Information Product Niche. Now, I really like this phrase, this quote, win beforehand. Turns out that this is the summary of the samurai philosophy. And the samurai would spend a lot of time practicing, meditating, and really planning to win before they ever went to battle. And so what we're going to do here by targeting niches that have a high potential is we're going to win beforehand. And by the time you're finished with the video and the exercises that it contains, you'll have targeted a niche that has a high probability of making money. I want to mention here that this is key whether you're creating your first product or you're creating your next product. And in fact, if you're creating your next product, it's even more important. I'd also like to remind you to read the Niche Intelligence Report, which you'll find under this video, and make sure that you read it at least 3 times while you're working on this project of targeting and narrowing your niche. Okay, let's dig in and let's learn how to win beforehand. And let's talk about the importance of getting your niche right. Now, I think that most business failure, in my opinion, comes down to getting the market wrong. Now, your market is the combination of your target customers, right, the people who are going to buy your stuff, and the products and services that you're going to sell to them. This combination of people who have money that they then trade for products and services that they need, creating this flow of value back and forth, this is a market. So your customer plus your product is your market. Now, you can control who you choose to market to. You can choose your target audience, and you can choose what to market, what you offer them. Your niche is such a critical element of your business because it's the beginning of this equation. If you get the niche wrong, nothing can help you. If you get the niche right, it makes everything else easy. When you target the right niche, you've set yourself up to win beforehand. So let's talk about a little bit of niche psychology and the psychology of targeting a successful niche. In a conversation that I had with my good friend John Carlton, actually this was before he was my good friend, and I paid him a lot of money to have a phone consultation, he told me something that's stuck with me ever since. He told me that the hardest thing to get the human animal to do is to take out their wallet and give you their money. Okay, the hardest thing to get the human to do is to take out their wallet and give you their money. Why is this? It's because their money represents all the work and all the time and the effort and the energy that they've spent in their life. It's their value, and they know it. So learning the art of how to get the human animal to take out its wallet and give you money in exchange for the valuable products and services that you offer is really a skill that's worth cultivating. It's worth developing. Now, a mistake that a lot of folks make as they're targeting their niche is kind of choosing a niche that sounds fun or interesting to them. If you choose a niche that just sounds fun or interesting, you're probably not going to be talking to people who are highly motivated and who are going to be likely to take out their wallet and trade you the money that's inside of it for what it is that you're offering. And a niche that sounds fun or interesting isn't going to cut it. If you want the highest chance of making money selling information, you must get psychology on your side. Niche psychology is about finding where people are being triggered emotionally. Okay, let me say that again. Niche psychology is about finding where people are being triggered emotionally. And when someone's triggered emotionally, then they're directed to go find solutions to their needs. If a person isn't triggered emotionally, okay, if they're not activated emotionally, then they're not motivated to go out and solve their problem. If you want to get a person to pay you for your knowledge, then identify where they're emotionally triggered and driven to find a solution. And this leads us to our next idea, which is that niches are actually needs. So what I'd like you to do is to stop thinking in whatever you think a niche is and start thinking in needs. Stop thinking in niches, start thinking in needs. We're thinking about needs that people have that drive them to take action. When you start basing all of your niche and your product decisions on needs that people are having, you dramatically increase your chances of success. Another quote that I say often goes like this: look for customers who are looking for you. Look for customers who are looking for you. When you stop thinking in niches and you start thinking in needs that individuals are having that are triggering them and activating them emotionally, that are getting them to go out and start looking for solutions, okay, now you're starting to look for people who are looking for you. Before a person has gotten to the point where they're so activated and they're so motivated that they're out looking for a solution, it's very hard to convince them to trade their money for what it is that you're selling. In fact, you have to do a lot of selling and persuasion and talking them into it, and that's a hard game. And it's not one that works for very many professionals or business people at all. So when you look for people who are looking for you, what you do is you go inside your mind and you start asking the question, what is the solution that people are already looking for? You start thinking about where people are at when they've gotten themselves to the point where they're activated, they're motivated, they've started looking, and you start thinking about where they're looking and what they're searching for and how they're looking to find a solution. By the way, this is one of the reasons why I love search engine marketing so much, both pay-per-click and SEO, because by definition, people who are online at a search engine typing in a search term are looking for a solution. I think that search marketing and search engine marketing, whether again it's pay-per-click or it's SEO, is one of the greatest tools that's ever been developed for market testing and for doing research. In fact, you can go online right now and you can use Google's free set of tools. They have free search tools that you can get on Google's website that allow you to see how many people are searching for a particular topic. In fact, to see the power of this, you might pause the video right now, go to Google, type in Google keyword tool, and just start playing around with it. Type in various search terms and phrases, and you'll get a feel for how many people are searching for that particular phrase. So, search engine marketing, search marketing, very, very powerful, an incredible tool for helping you target a successful niche. So keep in mind, look for prospects, look for customers who are looking for you. As you're targeting your niche, focus on people who are activated to the point where they're proactively out looking for a solution. I also want to mention here that as you're developing your next product in your business, whether it's your first one, your next one, or it's a service or a coaching program, that I honestly think about every new product as a little niche business in itself. Okay, so within whatever niche that you're working within, inside of it will be little sub-niches, and what you want to do here is try to figure out a subset of your customers that are searching for a solution within that little niche and then make the product based around that one niche. I did this when I was selling dating advice. I started out by selling a book called Double Your Dating, and then within that niche there were many other categories. For example, one category was a lot of people wanted to learn how to read and use body language. So I created an entire program just on how to use body language to create attraction, and a whole series of others like that. But every time I launch a product, I'm actually thinking in terms of a new niche, a new need. Now, a little more important psychology as you're targeting your niche. It turns out that human beings are motivated in two different ways. Some people are motivated by moving toward the things that they want, and some people are motivated by moving away from things that they don't want. And actually, all of us have both. We move towards some things that we desire, and we move away from some things that we fear. But here's the key. All of us tend to be about twice as motivated to move away from something that we don't want as we are to move toward something that we want. Okay, so away from or fear motivation or fixing a problem motivation is about 200% as strong as desire motivation, or the desire to get or acquire or accomplish something. Now, I've done a lot of study of motivation because I just find it fascinating, and I personally think that the reason why this is that we can lose a lot more than we can gain in life. Okay, so for example, if I said to you, would you like to have $1 million? You might say, I'd love to have $1 million. And I would say, well, what would you be willing to do for it? And you might say, I'd do a lot of stuff for $1 million. And I'd say, would you cut off your hand? And you might say, you lost me there, Eben. I'm not going to cut my hand off for $1 million. And I'd say, well, why not? And the reason is, we like our hands. We like our body. We like our lives. And we will do a lot to not lose something that we find really valuable. Even $1 million is not enough to talk most people into cutting off one of their hands. And if you say, well, it's enough to talk me into it, I'd say, well, how about taking off the arm at the forearm, or about right here? At some point, you'd say, no way. Even though $1 million would, probably change your life in a very material way, it's not enough when it comes to losing something that's important to you. So we tend to be a lot more motivated by the away from than by the toward. There are many scientific experiments that have actually validated this, interesting ones like with gamblers. Turns out that when someone's gambling and they're losing money, they'll actually start betting bigger because they don't want to lose all the money they've lost, and they think that by betting bigger that they're going to eventually win, and that's how they get into cycles of trouble. So away from motivation. Okay, getting away from something we don't want is very, very powerful. And this is why in marketing, they say that selling the cure to something is going to work a lot better than selling the prevention of something. Because when you're selling a cure, you've got someone who is afflicted and they're motivated to fix something that's wrong. Again, moving away from a problem, whereas prevention is usually moving toward health or toward a better state. Toward reducing risk, which most people don't do because we're very instant gratification oriented. And this leads to our next point, which is what I call the 3 big mega niches. And the 3 big mega niches, again, are health, relationships, and money. So health and fitness, dating and relationships, and money and business. And this is where probably 80 or 90% of the money is made selling information products. But the question is, why are these 3 mega niches so successful? Why are they so successful? Well, not to get too deep into the psychology, but a brilliant guy named Abraham Maslow, who you may have heard of, he's got the pyramid of the needs, his hierarchy of needs. What Maslow figured out is that we actually have several levels of needs. And the lower levels of needs on the pyramid are what he called deficiency needs. And these are things like safety and security and love and belonging. And then up higher, another set of needs emerged after those were filled, and these were more self-actualization and transcendent needs, very, very high levels of human development. But here's the interesting part. When we have a deficiency need, one of the lower level needs that's unmet, we are literally haunted by it. Okay, it just keeps coming up in our emotions and our mind until we get it filled. Okay, so let me say that again. When we have one of our lower level needs, when it's not met, one of these deficiency-based needs, we are literally haunted by it until it is fulfilled. Now, the first 3 levels of Maslow's pyramid, kind of generalized and summarized, go like this. The first one is survival. The second one is security. And the third one is love. Okay, survival, security, and love. Notice a pattern here. Survival in the modern age is about health. Security is about money. And love is about dating and relationships. So this is why I think that these 3 categories, make so much money. Is because they meet our basic needs, and if we have one of these lower level needs that isn't getting fulfilled, we are actually haunted by it. It chases us around. It triggers our emotions even when we're not doing anything, makes us go out and get it fulfilled. So think about your life for a minute. Have you ever been in a place where you didn't have a relationship in your life, you didn't have love in your life? What came up for you all the time, right? The desire to go out and find a partner, find love. You ever been in a place where you didn't have money and you were really desperate for it? Right? You can't think of anything else except how do I get some money? Have you ever had a health problem, something that threatened you or that you were afraid threatened your life? Right? There isn't anything else you can think about until it is solved. So these three mega niches, health and fitness, dating and relationships, money and business, they correspond to our basic needs as a human. Okay? The basic needs that we have psychologically, emotionally, physiologically, and until we get them met, our life just doesn't work. And a mistake that I often see experts and teachers make when they're teaching people is that they make the mistake of thinking that they're teaching people that are just like them. Okay, so we often think that we're teaching someone and we imagine ourselves someone who really knows a lot about our topic, who's been there, and they forget that most of the people who are looking for solutions to the particular challenge that they're facing are doing it because they have a deficiency. They have a place in their life where they don't have their need met. They don't know what to do. Okay, now we're going to talk in a little bit here about how important it is to really focus on giving specific, detailed beginning action steps. But remember, you're not talking to yourself. You're talking to someone who has a need that's driving them to go look for solutions. They're in a completely different mind frame. A quick warning here. Many people that launch information businesses, they want to start their information business within some special interest category outside of one of the big three mega niches. I want to warn you to be very careful if you're going to do this. Okay, be very careful. There are categories that can be very successful and make a lot of money outside of the big three mega niches. Some that I've seen become successful are games, sports, hobbies, musical instruments. I know people who have made a lot of money in these niches. Okay? But typically, even within these niches, the only ones that make serious money are the ones that have massive kind of emotion or passion value. It's where you've got an audience of people that are just irrationally passionate about their topic. Whether it be golf, I mean, you know how people go crazy for golf, getting custom golf clubs made and so forth, or sports or fantasy sports, or gambling even. I've seen people make a lot of money doing information products on how to win in gambling because these particular topics, the hobbies or the interests, they become like almost like a religion to the people that are into them. So if you're going to choose a special interest, make sure that there's a huge audience, that they have lots of passion, and that you can bring them a solution to something that they're trying to solve. Again, not just general information. Now, I mentioned before that a lot of teachers make the mistake of talking in a way that sounds like they're talking to themselves. They're talking to someone just like them. And what I'd like to do right now is I'd like to recommend that you appeal to beginners. Okay? Appeal to beginners as you're targeting your niche. We forget what it feels like to be just at the beginning or to be stuck and not know what to do, especially when it comes to something we've done successfully and figured out. If you're teaching someone how to lose weight with a natural food diet, okay, you've done it already. You've had the success, and you don't remember what it feels like to be at the very beginning. Okay? So remember, you're not teaching you. You're not targeting you as a niche. You're teaching someone who has a challenge and wants to solve it. In other words, you're targeting you, but when you first had your challenge, not you now. So if you're going to bias or you're going to favor one target, bias or target the beginning steps, the newbies, people who are just having this problem or this challenge for the first time. Okay, so let's summarize what we've learned, and then let's do a couple of exercises. First, win beforehand. Target your niche with precision and intention to give yourself the highest chance of success. Next, niches are needs. Think in needs and you'll find great niches. Next, look for customers who are looking for you. Target people who are activated to the point where they are out proactively looking for solutions, where they're searching for a solution to their challenge. Next, every product is a mini niche business in itself. So every time you're getting ready to launch a new product or create a new service, always go through this entire niche targeting process again. Next, people are about twice as motivated by fear than they are by desire. Okay, people want to move away from a problem that they have a lot more than they want to move towards something that they're going to gain. So 2 out of 3 times you should be helping people solve a problem, not just get a desire fulfilled. Next, most of the money is in the big 3 mega niches, so start there. And remember, there's a direct correlation between these mega niches and our internal intrinsic human drives. And finally, appeal to beginners. Okay, remember to target people that are at the beginning steps of solving their problem. Now, let's do a couple of exercises to target and narrow our niche. What you're going to want to do right now is go down below this video and download the 2 exercises that you'll see underneath it. Print them out. You'll probably want to print them at about 95% so you get the whole exercise on your piece of paper. So pause the video, go down below, print those out, and we're about to do them. Okay, so let's look at the first exercise, which is called the niche test. And I'll read to you the copy that's on that exercise. Good niches start with emotional needs that people are having, which are then used as the inspiration to create great products and services to solve them. Use my niche test to filter each of your niche ideas and discover which ones are worth pursuing and testing. This test is simple, but it can save you an amazing amount of wasted time and money. Here's how to use it. Ask the 4 questions below when considering a niche. If you get 4 yes answers, then you've got a good niche idea and you should test it. If you don't get 4 yes answers, then keep tweaking your niche idea until you do. Use the niche test every time you're planning to launch a new product or business to dramatically increase your chances of success. So question number 1, is my prospect experiencing pain and urgency or irrational passion? Okay, again, are they activated? Are they triggered? Do they have an emotion that's driving them to solve the problem? Okay, someone who, for example, is interested in underwater basket weaving probably isn't activated. Someone who needs to lose 20 pounds so they can fit into their wedding dress in 90 days is activated. Question number 2, is my prospect proactively looking for solutions? Do you remember when you learned look for prospects who are looking for you? Okay, so if they're proactively out looking for solutions, which now you can go research on Google using the Google keyword tool to get just a feel for how many are looking, if they're proactively looking, then they're much higher probability to actually buy stuff that you're selling. Question number 3, does my prospect have few or no perceived options? Now this is a big one. Okay, it's a really important part of targeting your niche. For example, if someone's just looking to lose weight, they have a lot of perceived options. If, on the other hand, they're looking to lose 20 pounds in the next 90 days so that they can fit into their wedding dress, that's a little different. And even though you may be teaching many of the same things, because we're targeting a niche of people who are looking for a solution, the second one is going to be a lot better. Okay, so does my prospect have few or no perceived options? And then finally, question number 4, are at least 1 in 1,000 people looking for a solution right now? Okay, at least 1 in 1,000 looking for a solution right now. And ideally, it would even be higher than 1 in 1,000, but this keeps us out of the underwater basket weaving types of niches by asking, okay, are there a lot of people that right now, as I am thinking about this, as I'm doing research, are consciously looking for a solution? When you get 4 yeses, you've got a niche that you owe it to yourself to test, because it's highly likely to be able to produce a business that can be very successful. In a future video, we'll talk about how to test, but for now, make sure you get 4 yeses. Now let's do the second exercise. Okay, so get out the exercise that says narrow your niche. It's very important to narrow your niche. And what I mean by this is selecting a group within the niche that you just targeted to find the highest probability, the cream, okay, the juiciest part of the niche. You may have heard of the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule. Okay, and the Pareto principle was created by a guy named Pareto who went and studied various types of systems, whether they be groups of people or plants growing in a garden, and he discovered that 80% of the results are always produced by 20% of the system. So if he was in the garden, he noticed that 80% of the vegetables or the fruit that was being produced in the garden was coming from 20% of the plants. Inside of organizations, it turns out that 80% of the results is being produced by 20% of the people. And this is the way it is when we look at just about any complex system. So what we want to do is, within our niche, we want to find the 20% where 80% of the results are coming from. We want to find the narrow targeted group of people who are most likely to want to buy something right now. It also turns out that people want to feel like they're the only one that your product was made for, like it was made just for them. You may have heard me at some point giving you the example of walking into a drugstore looking for some kind of medication to fix or cure a headache, and going to the aisle and you're standing there looking at the Advil and the other ibuprofen and the Excedrin and the Bayer and so forth, and then you look up and you see a big blue jar that says medicine, right? Which one are you going to buy? You're not going to buy the big blue jar that says medicine. You're going to buy the specific bottle that says cures headaches. And the reason why this is that we humans, we like to buy stuff that it sounds like it was made just for our issue. And that's why a woman who needs to lose 20 pounds in 90 days to fit into her wedding dress is going to buy an information product that's just about that before she's going to buy a general health product or a general weight loss product. So always narrow your niche as soon as you find it, and then narrow again and keep narrowing all the way until you run out of levels where you can narrow to. Okay? Also, some people say, well, you know, the niche that I've targeted, there's a lot of people in it. There's a lot of competition. So if your niche is one of these high emotional need niches and your prospects are seeking solutions, but there are many options, the way to solve the problem is to narrow your niche. This is a critical key. This is one of my secrets that I've used that has really created a lot of success. So let me give you an example from my own experience. When I started out my first business selling information products, relationship advice was a well-known category. There were a lot of relationship experts and relationship gurus. So I narrowed my niche to only the beginning step of relationship, which was dating. And I narrowed it to only men. And I created the category of dating advice for men. So I narrowed my category several times to get just dating advice for men and focus on how to get dates. Now that worked then. Now, if I was starting again in the dating advice category, because there are so many people that teach dating advice years later, I would narrow further. Okay? Because dating advice is so competitive, I might narrow my niche just to online dating advice for men or dating advice for divorced men. The point is, keep narrowing your niche and finding the 20% that's the most motivated, and then within that 20%, find the next 20% and narrow all the way to the ridiculous. And we're going to do an exercise right now that does just that. So take out your exercise that says narrow your niche on the top, and let's talk about what it says. Okay, so to increase your chances of success even more, take the next step and narrow your niche. The objective is to find the 20% within your niche that will include the 80% of people motivated enough to buy. Once you've narrowed at the first level, then narrow again. Keep going at least 3 levels deep, then circle back and choose the ideal target level. Narrowing your niche also helps you later on, as your products and marketing will be designed for a more targeted group, which will make them feel more like they were designed just for your individual customers' needs. Now, I've given you a little cheat sheet here. Here are some common categories to narrow by. I recommend you get creative and you find your own, but you could narrow by gender, male or female. You could narrow by personal or professional, You can narrow by age or life stage, gain or loss, the specific outcome that they desire, the step they are along in the process, the specific challenge they're having or the fear that they have, or even the trigger event that's causing them to go look for a solution. So male, female, I just gave you the example. When I did dating advice, I decided to only target men, so dating advice for men. Personal or professional, I created a time management program called Wake Up Productive. And even though it covers both personal and professional time management tips, I actually targeted it toward professionals. It's more of a business product, and most of the marketing is focused on how to increase your effectiveness so that you can be more successful in business. Age or life stage, let's say that you are teaching weight loss, right? You could teach weight loss for senior citizens. Okay, it's a different category. Gain or loss. Okay, let's say you created an information product teaching someone how to play poker successfully. You could teach them how to win more, okay, so how to gain, or you could teach them how to lose less. Okay, two completely different paradigms. Specific outcome desired. So I mentioned earlier I targeted dating advice for men. The specific outcome that men want is they want more dates. So that's why I focused on dating. Okay, I could create another category called marriage advice. Okay, so the specific outcome would be marriage. And I could focus my whole niche around men who are looking to get married. Step in the process. So let's say that I'm creating the information product about poker. Okay, I could teach many different steps of poker. I could teach the beginning game. I could teach how to bet. I could teach how to bluff. I could teach what to do at the end of the game as a strategy if you're down. Okay, so there could be all different types of products and niches there just based on one specific step. And to find that, I'd just be doing research to find out where people have the biggest need. Specific challenge or fear. So let's say, for example, I'm teaching weight loss. My specific challenge that I'm targeting might be emotional eating. Or the fear that I'm targeting as my niche category might be people who are afraid to give up the foods that they love. Okay, and they still want to lose weight. And finally, trigger event. What is the trigger event that is alerting your prospect that they've got a challenge that they want to get solved? So in this case, the trigger event might be stepping on the scale and seeing that you're now 20 pounds over your ideal weight. Okay, and so that one thing, that could create a whole niche. So we're going to start with the niche that we've just identified in the first exercise, and now we're going to drill down inside of it. So at level 1, what's the 20% inside of this group that contains 80% of the need and motivation? And once we've identified that 20%, we're going to go to level 2. What's the 20% inside this group that contains 80% of the need and motivation? And then level 3, what's the 20% inside this group that contains 80% of the need and motivation? I challenge you to really spend some really good brain time thinking this one through, using the categories that I gave you above, and also bringing some of your own to really find just the cream, just the highest probability folks that have a really big problem that's unique to them and that they're going to be looking for a solution to. And then go back, circle back after you've gone all 3 levels and ask, which is the most logical level? Which is the level where there are the most people who are proactively looking for solutions and they have few or no perceived options? And they would really feel like a product that was designed to serve this niche, to give that need a solution, would be made just for them. Narrowing your niche. This is, again, one of the most important parts of my whole process, and it's one of the things that I've done to successfully create a lot of successful products and businesses. So make sure and narrow your niche. Okay, great. So do those exercises. And in the next training, we're going to learn how to test our niche and save a ton of time and money in the process. Get those exercises done, and I'll see you in the next training.